What up, peeps? It's your girl, Dosh. Come back to Real Takes. Well, it's that time, guys. It's movie review time, and this will be for Evil Dead Rise. Now, before I jump into it, first, I want to know, we just want to talk about it. It's been out a week, and I see things that are on social media where people kind of talk about certain things about the aspect of the film. So, you know what? I'm hoping most of you have seen it, but at least you know, disclaimer, I'm going to talk about it. Now, with that said, my love for Evil Dead spans back over 30 years. The first movie I saw out of the franchise was Evil Dead 2. I went to the theater with a cousin, but she didn't tell me what we were seeing. And a treat that was. I will say, I was like, what am I watching? But I was here for it. I did not look away. And I became definitely a fan. Of course, you know, just horror icon, Ash, a.k.a. Bruce Campbell. And from there, just the love of watching the franchise and just, you know, opening up to watching more horror and all. Even though some people like to say it's more campy and all that, it has horror aspects and all that, but other aspects that compared to the first one. And then when you're seeing Army of Darkness, we got the, what do I say, reimaging or remake, you know, from 2013. And then here we are with this one. Now, with this particular one, I was excited about this one because of the director, Lee Cronin. A fan of a film he did that introduced me to him was The Hole in the Ground, and I think that's 2019, and I really enjoyed this. So when I knew he was attached to it, I said, okay, I love the way he did that story, and I know he has some other things like a horror short and some other, you know, movies, but that set the tone for me, the excitement. Now, with that being said, knowing back about a year or so ago, knowing that Alyssa Sutherland and Lily Sullivan were attached, I'm a fan of Sutherland from previous work. So that right there, okay, we're building the actual cast. So just from that, I'm on board. I'm just, you know, happy at the potential that I can see from seeing this film, that this, you know, continuation, so to speak. So with that said, let's go ahead and just jump into it. I will tell you, the opening on the movie was so good. Because when you're watching it, for me personally, I was thinking, okay, we're seeing what's happening. This, you know, two young ladies come up. One of them has a boyfriend. All they're staying at some sort of cabin, you know, near a lake. And then one of them is kind of ill, sick, and then you see the scene of her going to check on her and all that, and she's acting a certain way, sits up, and then saying this, you know, certain, you know, incantation, and she's just like whatever. And you see from the trailer, rips that scalp. Things happen to the boyfriend, and then the opening with the credit of the title of the actual film. That was just, yes, I was here for it. The music was the backdrop, but then wondering, you know, okay, we don't get to see how did this come to be, and I love that because you're wondering where does this place of how this evil, you know, it resurfaces or how, you know, it comes to be. Hence how we progress the story where we get presented with Ellie and Beth. Now, I like how these two are sisters, and you're seeing with Beth, you know, I think coming from a tour, you know, with a band or whatever, and coming across some news, probably not expecting, if you see the way she looks when she has to, you know, do a check to see if it's actually true. Yeah, you're pregnant. And then seeing what's happening with her sister, Ellie, where, you know, she's, you know, in a apartment complex, I think it's in Los Angeles, and, you know, run down, looks so condemned and all that, dealing with certain little issues and all that, but then seeing that she's dealing with her own issues with her and her kids, which is, I want to say, the youngest Cassie, we have Bridget, we have Danny. And from there, eventually Beth does work her way back home to visit her sister. I love how we get introduced to the kids, kind of getting their personalities. With Cassie being the young ones, you know, all about her toys, you know, talking to them, you know, certain things you can use to help her, you know, fight off, you know, any evil. Then you have Bridget, who's very, you know, strong-willed about, you know, certain things, you know, morals and this and that and other. She's about to set up, you know, something to do, a shirt or whatever, and a protest or whatever with a girlfriend. Then you see Danny all about the music, playing it a little loud, you know, jamming away, you know, and all that. And I like that. With Ellie, you see her with the tattoos, you know, getting her stuff with her inks and all that. So definitely doing her thing. But I like how eventually you see with the sisters, the communication really is not there, but then him presenting certain things that are going on. Like Beth, of course, coming to see her, seeing what's going on with her. Beth, you know, realizing with Ellie, there's things going on. She did reach out to her, but she did not get back in contact with her. Hence, they're having to move out. Husband left. Things are going on. Now, in the instance of these little conversations, she tells the kids to go get something, you know, some pizza and all that, leave, you know, heading back. They deal with what's look like to be earthquake. You see what happens, and it opens up what looks to be up under the parking garage, this little area where it looks like an old vault or whatever. And that's where, you know, a certain person decides they want to, you know, check, and that's Danny. He decides to mess with these artifacts that are down here. you know, picks up, he sees some pictures, he sees a particular book, and he sees some records. Now, granted, like I said, he was blasting this music, so that part right there intrigued him a lot. Sister Bridget's like, come on, get out of there. Should be touching stuff, whatever. And all, definitely creepy factor. Takes it back up. And that's kind of where things eventually start taking a turn. You see Ellie's, Bridget is wanting her mom to clean some stuff. So she's kind of eerie about eventually getting on the elevator, doing this and all that. But let's just say that it all starts when Danny, of course, he opens the book and Bridget's like, leave that alone, whatever and all that. And she leaves. He opens it up anyway. But then he opens up and messes with the 3 volumes of this record. And it's where you get introduced to what sounds like a priest trying to research some information he wants to do research on, and it's dealing with, from this actual book, and he's being told not to, but he does it in secret. And now you're dealing with, in this particular one, the way they phrase it is called, I want to say, what is it, Naturom Demento. So in the other Evil Dead, we were dealing with the, was it Necronomicon, but this one, just a different, in ways, discussion with this one, and I like the way they're doing it in this particular one. He plays the volumes, and you see certain things happening, of course, Ellie's kind of hesitant, whatever, like, what's going on, whatever. But of course, you don't see this evil entity that eventually takes over and possesses his mother. And that's when all hell breaks loose. I was just like, okay, here we go. We need to progress the story. So from there, I love how just everything just changes the way, just of course, her coming back into the room, and Beth's like, everything okay. You see from the trailer how it happens, the eggs and all this, and the kids like wondering what's going on. And I can see the scenes. If you notice, anybody saw the film, you see how Danny's looking like Daddy's probably realized, okay, something's not right with my mom. I played a part. And eventually even Bridget, as time goes on in the film, like, you didn't leave it alone, whatever. No, you brought this up here. You did this, and here we are. So I will say, just from there on out, you're dealing with her mother being possessed. At first you think she's dead and all that, taking it to a neighbor. And then, no, not so much. You're dealing with, all of a sudden, she overpowering, putting her children, in harm's way. Because you see the scene where she's like, please, don't let her get my children, all that, telling Beth whatever she needs to do. You're dealing with, all of a sudden, when she starts hurting the neighbors, infects her daughter with cuts that gets her infected and possessed. You're dealing with, all of a sudden, these new deadites. So I just love it. I will say, you had a certain amount of gore that I did enjoy. I would have loved to show more, but I said, the amount of blood, I was here for it. Just watching Ellie, being possessed was really, she just looks so freaking creepy. I was here for all of it. Just all of her exchanges, with her trying to talk to them, talk them down, especially her daughter, the youngest, Cassie. And then, Beth trying to figure it out, and Danny admitting, his part that he feels like he played in this. Yeah, you played the full part. There was no questions about it. And knowing that eventually the kids, except Cassie, succumbed, the 2 older ones, and it's so unfortunate, but it's set up, scenes that were definitely good, definitely graphic. But then we're thinking Beth has to get Cassie, the youngest one, out of there. You see what happens where the 2 oldest ones get, I'm gonna say, like, what's the word I want to say? Oh my gosh, because that was a scene on its own where they kind of, the limbs, they come together like a creature, and it was just like, I was a little perplexed by that, but I was here for it because it was something that was in the book, from a particular picture from him going through the book and looking at it, and just realizing when he's looking at whatever and all. Because let's just say the way that book opened up, because at first he could open up it, but as soon as some blood hit it, that's all it take. And just seeing just all the things happening with Beth trying to get out of there, and Cassie, like, when they find out that she, is pregnant, and the things that Ellie said to her, it was just like, oh my gosh, her feeling a certain way, like certain probably pent up feelings she had with her sister, some of it a little extra from, the evil, but a couple of things she said, you can tell it definitely, kind of hurt Beth, because she's probably seeing some of what's being said from this evil, saying this through her sister, like some of it taken at face value, but it was just like, yeah, just playing with her head, playing with her, her mind like that. It was definitely interesting. But I will say this, Beth rose to the occasion. We eventually see, chainsaw. We definitely got our actual, shotgun. I love how they do ode to that from, of course, the previous films. So definitely was here for that on this one. And just in the end, where Beth just handled the business and all that, her and Cassie's able to get out of there. But I love it because, like I stated from the first part of the film, wondering where does this tie into what's going on, and then it made perfect sense when you see the young girl, one of the girls, which is Jessica, coming out of her apartment. What I wanted to understand is this, and somebody might comment, how you didn't hear all the stuff that was going on? I mean, granted, the earthquake, you didn't come out of your place. You were really knocked out. What did you drink? Did you have a little, a little something to help you sleep? Because listening to her talk to her friend, like, oh yes, I heard a couple drinking, yeah, I got some rest, whatever. You didn't come out not once. I give her kudos because if she did come out, Ellie would have got her. So, but in the end, didn't matter because what got Ellie got her. Searching to figure out what is it I see, looking through her rear mirror, just drove off, but. Again, progression of the story. So I really feel like overall I just so enjoyed the film. The amount of blood, I love the Deadites, I love all the scenes, like I said, with Alyssa Sutherland playing Ellie. The potential is there. The way it was set up at the beginning, I mean, and I'm curious if the young lady who's playing that character, Jessica, in that film from the beginning will be back because, you never know. I hope so because that's kind of what happens with all the stuff that happened here and it possessed her. You see what happens at the beginning if it was opening, wondering where it ties in. Now you can see how it got out and it infected her, what's going to happen to her friend where she scalped her head, out there at the lake cabin. But yes, I really did enjoy this. Now I did hear from a recent interview while they're going out, promoting the film from Campbell, the potential is for them to do hopefully more of these, at least I think he said every 2 years or so. I'm down for that. That would be awesome. Because like I said, so many potentials of how the story can continue for a couple more of these, to, start the franchise over a little bit in some ways because it's not just considered Evil Dead Rise. And there you go. So yeah, I would love to see a sequel to this one, seeing what happens with the girl and how, something might happen because you see the part with Beth when she made a comment, she's listening to the record, is telling what happened. The guy's like, there's no way to kill his other two guys who were his, assistants, I'm assuming other priests. They became possessed, and the only way you can deal with this is body dismemberment. Hence, how Beth had to, kill her sister and two oldest. So that's going to be telling. Will anybody eventually find those records? Will anybody find out how to deal with this? So. That definitely leaves it open for this to continue, and I'm always here for that, especially when it comes to anything pertaining to horror. So again, definitely enjoyed this. I love the cast. I love this. Lee Cronin did an amazing job with this one. I am so looking forward to them continuing this. I can't say it enough because I really was delighted with this particular one, just adding to Evil Dead. So with that said, you guys, comment below. Let me know what you think. And with that said, I'll see you guys in the next movie review. You guys take care.